What motivates us to get on the road, making us cross countries, meridians, get new pairs of socks and passport stamps? Undoubtedly, it is the search for true heroes with their at times unbelievable human stories that touch our heart. Hello, we bring you in yet another episode of the program Aghain. In one of the capital cities of a Balkan country, we heard the story of how an event that entailed saving a child's life had a life-changing impact on the story of the hero of our program. This time we're going to visit the political, economic and cultural center, the city of Podgorica, which is conveniently located along the shores of the Marachi River, not far from the Adriatic Sea. Our today's story even has a title, The Right Diagnosis. By the way, the sun shines just as bright here. People have the tendency to compare notions, people, things, at times even incomparable ones. Elmira, the hero of our today's program, is constantly looking for differences and similarities between her native Uralsk and Podgorica. What do these seemingly very different places have in common? How are the people living next to the rivers of Ural and Marachi different? We find out from our hero. There are, of course, many differences and similarities, as they say, of a different land under a different sky. One way or another, our entire life is closely connected with medicine. Thanks to this field of science, we maintain or recover our health. Everyone needs a doctor, even doctors themselves.
Здравствуйте. Это институт детских болезней.
Hello, this is the Institute for Childhood Diseases, where I work. Let's enter. And so our story begins with the regular visits to the doctor of a young girl from Uralsk.
Очень часто болела и долго не могли поставить правильный диагноз. Кстати, серьезно, может быть, даже бы и...
I was sick very often, and for a long time the doctors couldn't make the right diagnosis. By the way, I think that I could have died. At that time there was no ultrasound diagnostics, which could have helped. Lab work, as I understand today as a doctor, did not show any deviations. A grave diagnosis could have been made. My parents took me to Moscow, and in the end, by pure chance, I ended up in Leningrad. There I was examined for one thing, and the problem turned out to be completely different. I was saved by one woman. When I was in a really bad state, by complete accident this doctor on call found me.
Когда мне совсем было плохо, она совершенно случайно на дежурстве меня нашла. Просто ей сестра сказала, что там одной девочке, вот она у нас давно лежит, очень плохо.
A nurse told her that there is one girl in a grave condition and has been hospitalized for a long time already. This woman was a professor, quite young by the way, as I understand right now. I think she was either conducting exams with her students or gathering some signatures.
Посмотрела, просто меня перевернула, поговорила. Первое, что я услышала, она, вот я даже запомнила, она сказала.
She didn't have much work. She came up to me, looked, and turned me over. The first thing that I heard, I even still remember, why is a child with nephrology problems in the gastroenterology department? Why is my patient in this department? Only by looking at me there were symptoms. I think that she immediately noticed this, talked to me, and had a general idea. By the way, she's a pediatric surgeon. Everything that happens to us is for a reason. Each day comes with its own message. Thus, this incident influenced the decision of our hero in her career choice. Right now, she's thankful to fate for the way it all happened.
Ой, да вы что, конечно, это хирургия детская, я обязательно буду хирургом, это просто совершенно, это просто смех.
Yes, of course, I'm going to become a pediatric surgeon. Right now, it is even a little funny to remember this.
Конечно, нужно быть определенный склад характера иметь и всегда быть уверен в себе.
One needs to have a certain attitude to be a surgeon. Self-confidence is very important. If you doubt yourself, then this profession is not for you. The first settlements on the territory of modern-day Podgorica were established back in the Stone Age. In the BC era, Illyrian tribes lived here. And then these lands were conquered by the Romans. From the day of its establishment, the city was at the crossroads of important trade routes and was located in the valley with a favorable climate. After the miraculous cure, Elmira's recovery was very fast. Her mother Sarjana told us that since that moment her daughter was resolute on becoming a doctor to save people's lives.
Нет, это все время было желание, то есть как бы врач, обязательно все там куклы залеченные, перелеченные.
I always had this desire to become a doctor. All my dolls were healthy and cured. I pretended to give them injections and shots and all that sort of stuff. The thing was that I finished high school quite young, when I was 16. And my parents immediately told me that medicine is a tough field. Do you know how much they work? They tried to dissuade me.
Вот, я поддалась на их уговоры, я хорошо училась и взяла в первый попавшийся
And I succumbed to their arguments. I was a good student and applied to the first faculty that I came across. I passed the first exam and then started thinking, why am I doing this? In Moscow, I passed another exam, but then decided I want to study medicine. Why am I creating additional problems for myself? I turned around and asked for my documents back, and they of course told me, why, you passed all the exams, you graduated with almost perfect grades. Standing tall above the other structures of the old town is the proud and silent clock tower that was built almost 5 centuries ago. It was built in the middle of the 17th century and has a height of 16 meters. Right now, the tower and its surrounding territory are adorned with small fountains and benches and is overall a pleasant city square. The clock tower is one of the main features of the Turkish Staravarosh quarter in which it is located. This structure has become one of the symbols of the city, and the majority of all traditional songs of Podgorica mention it.
Смотрите, познакомьтесь, это моя лаборатория.
Oh, look, allow me to introduce my favorite lab specialist, Pasha. She's really a hard worker. People who are responsive to others attract not only good people, but also kind words. That is why it is not surprising that those who surround Elmira say only positive things about her. Elmira, with her radiant smile and charismatic personality, gains the trust and love of many people. We also were enchanted by her. Right now we have modern diagnostic equipment, and this is thanks to our doctor. She's a true master of her trade. Elmira brings warmth and care into our collective. We want to send our greetings from Montenegro to the far distant Kazakhstan and Uralsk. It is only now that Elmira has become an accomplished doctor, but 23 years ago things were different.
Подумала, да не, я лучше год посижу дома. Ну, естественно, месяц.
I thought, no, I better stay home for a year. But of course I didn't just sit around. For a year I worked, studied, passed exams, and got into med school. I have only warm memories about my institute, and I think that I've never met professors who are better than the ones I had.
3 факультета было. Общая терапия, педиатрия, в которой я поступила, и...
There were only 3 faculties there: general therapy, pediatrics, the one that I was admitted to, and medical biology. Looking at those students, they were like quite geniuses for us.
Гении. Тихие гении. Кстати, если бы мне кто-то тогда сказал, что я буду...
By the way, if someone would have told me that I would become a laboratory physician, I would have said no way. Keeping children healthy by making the right diagnosis. This is a laborious skill that takes years to acquire by working every day. But the workday has come to an end, and our hero has invited us for a walk along the streets of the city and to chat with us about something other than work. Every person has their favorite place in a city where one can gather their thoughts after work. Elmira loves Podgorica for its architectural beauty and the spirit of history.
Находимся в одной из центральных частей города, рядом с мостом Millennium.
We are in one of the central parts of the city, next to the Millennium Bridge. Here, this wonderful bridge was built. By the way, it is interesting that for a long time during its construction, I was wondering what it's going to be.
Ты не знаешь, это подарок города Москвы, Подгорицы. Была очень удивлена, когда сделали, очень нравится.
And one of my friends told me, "Oh, you don't know, this is a present of the mayor of Moscow to Podgorica." I was very surprised. I really like its design. It's not very big, kind of cozy.
Очень гостеприимные, добрые люди. Очень гостеприимные, добрые люди. Это меня не удивляло никак.
By the way, there are benches along this bridge, and where people sit, creating a warm atmosphere. People here are very hospitable and kind. I was not surprised, but it is still nice.
Очень приятные люди в возрасте. Мне, например, очень было интересно с ними разговаривать обо всем. Я спрашивала обо всем.
There is this warmth. Elder people are very nice. For me, it is very interesting to talk to them about everything. I ask them everything. These people lived during the war period and remember those years. The after-war years, the 50s and the 60s.
60-х годов. Какие у них обычаи традиционные и так далее.
I asked everything about their national traditions. Usually people who are older can tell you about this. One way or another, Kazakh people and people in Montenegro are similar in terms of temperament, mentality, relation to time and food. And neither the geographic distance between the people nor skin color or physical appearance affect this.
Ну, таких разницы большой нет. А схожести очень, ну, это даже больше такой...
There aren't many differences and similarities. Well, it's kind of humorous. You know this expression in Kazakh, jaylap, or gently? Well, nothing happens in a rush here as well. I have this impression that there are a lot of similarities in food, for breakfast, lunch, and supper, meat.
Завтрак, обед и ужин, мясо. Похоже. Вообще-то у них кухня больше всего медiterranean.
Their cuisine is more Mediterranean, oily and a lot of fruits and vegetables. Although in Montenegro there are many ways that meat is prepared. Dough is also prepared in a similar manner, but with a small difference, somewhat unusual.
Больше всего, конечно, готовят, опять же говорю, мясо в любом виде. Тесто делают, вот это вот, так сказать.
But overall, there are many similarities and differences. The cuisine is just very different. As they say, from a different land and under a different sky.
А таких каких-то вот я не знаю, ну как бы схожести, различий много, конечно, много. Ну, просто...
Also, we make pasta at home. I know that my mother is great at rolling the dough. I think that every mother in Kazakhstan knows how to make the dough for beshparmak, the traditional dish.
Я знаю, у меня мама так классно раскатывает, как и каждая мама, наверное, в Казахстане умеет сделать, да? Для бешпармака тесто.
Here people make the dough for pasta using a machine. I love to make it in a way so that it is easy to cut. Perhaps your mother cuts it herself as well.
Не знаю. Подгорица, ну, обязательно сад Кула. Это часы башни.
In Podgorica, the clock tower is a must-see sight. This is the oldest part of the city, Staravarosh, or Old Town. We can say the face of Podgorica.
Лицо Подгорицы, можно сказать. Можно сказать, что Millennium лицо Подгорицы.
Also, the Millennium Bridge can be called the face of Podgorica, and the Boža Ivanović Bridge. And also the monument to Vladimir Vysotsky.
Но в своих, я говорю, стихах воспел Черногорию и прославился здесь. У меня есть одна знакомая, которая преподает греческий язык.
He praised Montenegro in his poems and became famous here. I have an acquaintance who teaches Greek in a local college gymnasium, and he's always mentioned.
обязательно его вспоминают. То есть упоминают даже, так сказать. И пытаются...
They try to recite him in Russian, which is very amusing.
600 тысяч равных порций живой воды в одной горсти, но проживали черногорцы свой долгий век до 30.
А на самом деле город совсем выстроен после войны, потому что его...
But actually the city was built up after the war because it was very heavily bombed. Only a part of the old town and some houses remained. Initially, children want to grow up as fast as possible and then dream of returning back to childhood. Perhaps that is why many adults love to watch cartoons, go on rides, and have snowball fights. Maybe here in Podgorica, this New Year's snowy spirit is something that is missing.
Да, мне коньки не достают. А потом, когда наступает Новый год...
Yes, I miss my skates. And when it's New Year's, in our family, until a specific time, our father always bought a pine or fir tree, and we always decorated together.
Сосну или ель. И мы обязательно ее украшали, и это для меня был...
For me, this was a true New Year's celebration. But here, it is always warm, even in December.
И все время, ну, просто календарский декабрь, все там готовятся, подарки покупают, а я как-то это очень...
People get ready, buy presents, but I don't feel the same spirit. And later on, I understood that because there is no snow and no tree to decorate.
Снега нет и елки нет. Ну, я говорю, в принципе, синтетический я могу купить в магазине, но просто как-то это не то, не то.
I could buy a plastic one in a store, but that's not really the same thing. I could buy a tree, but there isn't the second attribute, snow.
Ну, очень. Я сегодня как раз рассказывала, что я думаю, что, наверное, Медео было классно. Вот это вот для меня было коньки.
I really love skating. I already told you about the time spent in Medeo and that it was great.
Здесь был какой-то этот искусственный лед, ну, как бы для детей какая-то вот, чтобы почувствовали правую зиму.
Skates, shorts, and goggles. Here there are no skates. There was an artificial ice rink here for children to get a taste of real winter.
Да, берешь конечки. Ну, конечки не такие настоящие, на которых я ездила, а такие, ну, как бы пластиковые.
I couldn't resist and went there without skates. They rent them out, but the skates are not like real skates, but more plastic. I had trouble fastening them, and a kind man came up to me, seeing that such a grown woman came to skate, and offered to help.
Я говорю, не могу, они у меня большие. Он говорит, не, сейчас мы все это сделаем.
I said okay, and he skillfully fastened the skates. And then I told him that they're too big, but he replied, no, everything will be okay.
Он, оказывается, маленький.
I started skating and just couldn't. The skates turned out to be too small, and it just didn't work out.
Да на самом деле, я думаю, что везде люди обычные, вот когда с каким-то одним человеком
Yes, actually, I think that everywhere people are similar. When you meet someone, there aren't big differences and similarities. You're the same everywhere. And when you visit someone, just like in Kazakhstan, people are very hospitable here.
Таких вот каких-то отличий особенных. Это так кажется только вот снаружи.
In terms of some special differences, I think that's more on the outside. Inside, we're actually all the same. The relationship of parents towards their children is similar, and also of children towards their parents. Someone more, someone less. People are just as hospitable. I don't even know. I came to the conclusion that everywhere people are the same.
Пришла к выводу, люди везде одинаковые.
The time has come to say goodbye. Following our tradition, we brought memorable souvenirs. And in return, we're leaving with warm memories. Thank you, Podgorica. Thank you, Elmira. Thank you for the present.